Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are live. We're going to talk Tennessee real estate today. I'm excited because I've got not one, but two guests with me today. Connor Wilson from the MTMG squad, who if you've worked with our team and you've done Florida or Tennessee or Texas or New Jersey or PA real estate, you've likely talked to Connor and worked with Connor. And then one of our favorite agent partners out in Tennessee, Stephen Mansour. Did I pronounce that correct?
You got it. That's perfect.
Sweet. Nailed it. So yeah, excited to be talking to you guys because for whatever reason, being out here in California, I've done mortgages across the country, and I've got the data. Clients that come across my desk seem to be increasingly interested in Tennessee real estate. So maybe that's where we start. And again, I want to encourage anybody who's watching this live, let us know where you're at, where you're watching it from. Fire away with any questions. We're live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And then, of course, like after this thing's live, it'll be published in there on YouTube forever. And I'll respond to as many comments as I possibly can. So without further ado, Stephen Mansour, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. So tell us, what's all the fuss, man? Why are people in love with Tennessee real estate? People are either moving there, calling it their new home, or they're investing in Memphis or other parts of Tennessee. What is it about Tennessee, man?
I think it really just comes down to affordability. We have a very affordable market here, very low cost of living. Our median home price is about $190,000, which I know in most other markets you're looking at probably about at least $300,000. We have about a 50% rent to own population here. So you have the opportunity to invest as little as $100,000 for a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. And I don't know a lot of other markets that you can find a good quality home, for that inexpensive. So, not only is it an affordable city for long-term investors and tenants, but also we're seeing a huge shift towards short-term rentals too. Just in the last couple years, we've had probably at least a couple thousand hotel rooms built, and a lot of that is part due to our increase in tourism here. Memphis has a lot to offer. We've got a new CFL football team in the city. We've got the Memphis Grizzlies, got the Memphis Redbirds. It's a minor league team to the St. Louis Cardinals. Got a minor league soccer league, music festivals, food festivals, National Civil Rights Museum, Graceland. If you're an Elvis fan, I'm a little too young. I didn't live through the Elvis era, so I hope I'm not offending anybody. But I know we have Graceland here, and it drives a lot of tourists to the city. Barbecue. We just built a multi-million-dollar riverfront park that's drawing a large crowd. List goes on and on. So, Memphis has a wide variety of fun things that brings tourists to the city, and that's really been a drawing force for a lot of short-term investors. Also, let me add that Memphis has a very relaxed restriction policy when it comes to short-term rentals, and that's been big because I know a lot of other markets, they have some restrictions in place that limit the number of Airbnb properties you can have. So Memphis is very relaxed on that front, and it's really allowed a lot of my short-term investors to build their portfolio. So hope that
some awesome points there. Yeah. And as
Sure.
a California guy, there's some parts of California, they'll just outright ban Airbnbs, and you can't operate short-term rentals at all.
Sure.
And so, any state or city or county that's, lax on that, encouraging that, and kind of, is easier to work with, I'm sure is a draw for investor. Let me say hello real quick. We got Pallavi Patel joining us from Oswego, Illinois. Thanks for joining, Pallavi. Fire away any and all questions you got about Tennessee while we got Stephen on here. We got Christina from South Florida. South Florida is another market that's quite popular. So rest assured, YouTube Nation, I am going to get some Florida agents on here. We're going to talk Florida real estate in the future. We might even do like a Tennessee versus Florida battle. I mean, I guess we could do like unlimited state battles. We could do California, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and have everybody come on and share their pros and cons. I'll share some cons about California if any out-of-state realtors need any extra ammunition for California cons. Old guy real estate. He's a California guy. He's a couple hours from us. I think you're in Santa Cruz, right? Thanks for joining, Josh Burdick. Greetings, brother. We got Connor Wilson on here. I know that slowly but surely Connor's gaining a following. We got a lot of Connor Wilson fans on the YouTube channel. So show Connor some love. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on. As you guys may know, I am licensed in a few different states, so chances are I've talked to quite a few of you. But Tennessee is one of my favorites, along with Florida, of course. But Tennessee is one of those states that really allows you to generate cash flow right from the beginning. Me on the mortgage side, I'm more familiar with the numbers. Stephen on the real estate side, more familiar with the hands-on, house hunting and that side of thing. Me on the mortgage side, the main difference I see, especially from Californians to moving to Tennessee, or maybe looking to just get an investment property, is the cash flow right off the bat. That's going to be the main advantage. And a lot of other states don't have that advantage right off the bat.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, as a real estate investor myself, I am interested in real estate all over the place. And I've, lived vicariously through clients for a decade. And I've asked them questions about what they're investing in. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You like to do, long-term investing and buy and hold. You like to do the short-term stuff. Some people that rent to nurses. When I ask them about Tennessee real estate, and I'm like, man, nice neighborhood, 225,000. Like, what's that thing going to rent for? It kind of blows my mind, even the long-term rental numbers where, cash flow on long-term rentals in California, like minimum is going to require 30 to 40% down. But I'd love your take, Stephen, because you're boots on the ground. You're working with investors out there searching. If I wanted to buy something in Memphis, call it like a B neighborhood, somewhere where, if my wife had to go collect a rent check, she wouldn't be afraid to go there.
Sure.
As the sun is setting. What's the cost of that home? And then what's, the average rent if someone's just going to rent it as a long-term, 12-month lease?
Sure. In the neighborhood you're talking about, anywhere from probably 130,000 to maybe 200,000. And then your average rent is going to be around $1,500 a month.
And with like 20% down, what's the payment on a 150K house? Something that?
That's you, bro. You're the guy.
Yeah, I mean
that's the human calculator. I need my calculator to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up here because I don't want to misquote anything. And again, this is not an offer to lend. All the things I have to disclose about this not being a real offer, but it is a good question, Connor, because that's the thing. Like just hearing those numbers, nowhere in California you're gonna get anywhere near 1%. And different investors have different rules. Some are like, oh, I want 1% rule. Anybody who's not familiar with the 1% rule, $150,000 house, if it rents for $1,500 is 1% of 150,000. Doesn't exist. I'm working with an investor right now. We're looking at a house. He offered 505. Great neighborhood in Sacramento. Island Rental Properties in the same neighborhood. He is going to likely rent for $2,800 to $3,000. Wow. And so like 0.6 ish on that house. And so, even if you paid $200 and we're renting it for $1,600, that's quite a significant difference. And you're telling me, Stephen, that's like a B neighborhood. It's somewhere that's relatively nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Now what kind of house would you get for 500,000 in Sacramento?
So, different parts, but this is probably like a B plus neighborhood, a neighborhood like that. I
Wow.
own a few single families, and it's 4 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,600 square feet, built in 1962. So it's, got some deferred maintenance, needs a little bit of work, but it's in decent shape. And, that's probably the upper end of anything that's going to be at least a break even. In
Okay.
order to get any sort of cash flow, you basically have to go to worse neighborhoods, to properties in worse condition. And, there's a bunch of different things. Like, I love California real estate, so I'm not going to, talk bad about it. I've got fourplexes that perform great. I've got the single families that's, blessed enough to have 3% interest rate on the investment properties. And so I was able to make it work that way. And then the power of real estate, holding on to it long enough as rents increase and that mortgage payment stays the same. The other positive too is while I'm giving California some credit, is Prop 16 is allows it to where like property taxes don't increase. They can only increase a few percent every year, where
Sure.
Connor does stuff in Texas where every 2 years the property taxes are going up 30%. What's the property tax reassessment like in Tennessee? I honestly don't know it.
We just had one not too long ago, but we pay city and county taxes. You're looking at in Memphis probably about 7.5% between city and county.
On property taxes?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I know that California, passed that long ago, where once you've got a tax basis and you bought the thing at X value, you can count on it not increasing drastically. And there's some states like, Texas is the prime example where, property taxes can continue to increase quite a bit. Like, they've seen so much appreciation in San Antonio that, like, you owned a house 5 years ago that's doubled in value, and so have your property taxes.
Memphis is pretty stagnant. We don't see massive, changes in pretty much anything here. So, I think every 2 years they usually do an assessment. And I think recently mine just went up a couple $100. It wasn't anything crazy.
I'm pulling up a 25 and 20% down scenario. I've got to remove 600,000 and put in 150 because
Sure.
Robert wants to know the numbers on 150.
Well, in my experience, I've never had one of those houses below 200 grand coming, below or above 1,800 in monthly payment. Every time, especially with below 150, it's going to be below that $1,500 mark. So the monthly payment on those lower priced homes is going to allow you to make some cash flow after receiving rent.
Yeah. And I think too, like a lot of the Midwest stuff that I've seen, appreciation isn't necessarily something that people are looking for, but like all the growth you talked about, Stephen, all the stuff that's coming with the Riverwalk and the music scene and all
Sure.
that, like you guys are actually seeing some decent appreciation.
Yeah.
I know somebody who is invested in Memphis and was lucky and smart enough to have bought 10 or 12 single family in 2018. So like have seen massive appreciation in those 6 years since he bought them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Memphis is not a very transient city. So people, when they're here, they stay here. So that's good for a lot of my long-term investors, a lot of long-term tenants.
Cool. Yeah, I pulled up real quick. If I'm using a 7.99 interest rate, we don't have to pay a ton to buy it down. 25% down is $825 principal and interest. 20% down is $880. Then of course tax and insurance on top of that, probably $300 or $400, but probably a $1,200 payment, I would guess, for something like that.
$1,200 all in, and in a neighborhood like that, it would rent for well over $1,200, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Sweet. Yeah, I know for sure that there's investors that, for one reason or another, investors I work with in San Jose, that same 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 square feet is 1.8 million. So they're not
That's crazy.
they're not buying single families in San Jose to cash flow, and so they're looking out of state. Do you work with investors, Stephen, that are talking to you remote, and you're doing like a FaceTime walkthrough or anything?
Absolutely.
How does that? What's the best practices, I guess, for somebody who says, I'm interested in Tennessee, I want to get a feel for that, and maybe they fly out once, or they get pre-approved, they talk to Connor, and then they want to maybe see a certain zip code, the 3-bedroom, 2 baths in that zip code. How would that work?
Absolutely. It starts with just a conversation like we're having now over the phone, maybe FaceTime, where we go over the city. I give them some valuable pointers with the city, what a lot of a to-do list, what Memphis has to offer, and then absolutely, we'll go out to a property. I'll just FaceTime them. We'll go look at a couple of different areas and just give them an idea of like how much bang they can get for their buck, in certain areas, and familiarize them with the city. And then from there, find them what they're looking for, find out what their needs are, and find them the correct fit.
Cool. You got good property managers out there that
we do. Absolutely. Yeah. We have a lot of property management companies in town that are ready to help you out.
Property management company I used in Alabama when I owned Alice State Rentals was not it. So
some of them are hit or miss.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like you don't know what you don't know. So as a younger investor, when I was getting started, I don't even know where I found this property manager, but like I've learned over time, you connect with great professionals, and those who get pre-approved with us and talk to Connor. Connor says, "Oh, you're looking to Memphis? I got a great real estate agent. Here's Steve Mansour,
and it's spelled just like Mansour, so that's how I know there's a. That's when I know that a telemarketer is calling me.
To say it fancy.
Yeah, anytime someone calls me and says, "Can I speak to Mr. Mansour?" I know I'm getting sold something. So for you to get it right on the first try, that's very impressive.
All right, I know that
he didn't ask me beforehand or anything.
Yeah. Well, Connor, you got it right the first time we talked. So.
Yeah, but what I was going to say too is like you connect with a great lender. People go to greatmortgagebroker.com. They fill out the form. They're looking to buy in Tennessee. They talk to Connor. Connor walks them through pre-approval. Here's what it looks like at 150, at 200. He introduces that client to you. You're able to find them the real estate property. You refer them to a great property manager. Generally speaking, like that's how you can connect with other great professionals, is by working with a great professional who's connected. So it's good to know that you're connected with some great property managers. That's important. Josh Burdick, thanks for the comment here. You better have good boots on the ground for Memphis. And that's what I learned. Friends of mine who were doing well in Memphis, great real estate agent, great property manager. That great real estate agent connected them to a great general contractor who could do any sort of repairs they needed. And, with a few great professionals, it makes a world of difference. I didn't know anybody in Alabama. I was reliant on a bad property management company to just have their way with however much they want to charge me for any work that they may or may not have done. But enough about that bad experience.
Well, Connor and I, we've helped about at least a dozen investors so far buying Memphis just in the last year. And everyone's been happy. I mean, it just seems like a perfect fit for us, and we make a great team. And we get them through the system, make sure they get what they need. And I don't think anyone has had a bad experience so far with the lending side or their investment so far. So we're off to a great start, and I'm looking forward to a great 2024.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that people continue to look at markets where there's strong demand for rentals, and Memphis fits the bill there. Affordability and still being able to cash flow and whatnot is definitely it. And one thing I will say, knowing investors from all over the country, your experience will vary widely based on who you work with. So you got to work with professionals. I put Great Mortgage Broker up there because I want people to start there, get themselves pre-approved, talk to Connor. Connor will connect you with Stephen. I want to just kind of random fire some Tennessee questions off you, Stephen, because honestly,
Sure.
I'm curious.
I'll answer them the best I can.
Oh man, I mean, these are layups, or they're just, do your clients gravitate to certain parts of Memphis? Like you talked about closing a dozen or so in the last year you and Connor have teamed up on. Like, are they buying all in one zip code? Are different clients with different needs or different price points looking in different areas? Like, where do they gravitate towards when they're buying investment properties in Memphis?
Really, for long-term investors, it just comes down to their budget. It's like I said, you can find a decent home in Memphis for close to 100,000, and then it's just up from there. Now, where we get a little more specific with our search is with short-term investors. I found that our downtown area, more specifically the Mud Island, or we call it the Harbor Town area, has been very promising so far with my short-term investors. It's mostly single-family homes versus the main part of downtown that's mostly condos and a lot of restrictions. A lot of those condos don't even allow any type of rentals. But with Harbor Town, we're talking about mostly single-family homes, ranging from probably starting off at about $325 and going up from there for a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. And also the Midtown area near, we call it Overton Square, or the Cooper Young area. Both those areas are very centrally located in the Midtown area, near a lot of your shopping and entertainment and restaurants, and a lot of festivals. So that's usually where I'm pushing a lot of my short-term investors to look in, versus the long-term investors. Just really comes down to budget.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think long-term investing, to me, there's not a bad area in Memphis that, you can't go wrong in.
Yeah. And I think that's important for people to hear too, is, the better idea you have of your budget, what your goals are, whether it's going to be a short-term or long-term, the better. I'm going to let Connor kind of, explain it a little bit, but like he's got a lot of calls with people, which no fault, and we don't hate you for it when you reach out and you've got no idea what you're doing, but we're trying to help you figure it out. We're trying to help you, what are your goals? Are you looking for cash flow? Are you looking for appreciation? Do you want something that's relatively passive, like a long-term investment? Are you willing to do the work that a short-term investment, like short-term rental is going to require? And so getting clear on the goals. I know that's one of the things that Connor does on that intro call. When you first talk to somebody, Connor, maybe explain to us a little bit about what you're trying to pull out of a client who's calling you and saying, I heard Tennessee is a great state. I might want to invest there. How do we narrow down that search?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I am not the type of loan officer that kind of just sends a link, says, here it is, apply, and I'll tell you later on what programs are best for you. That's not how I operate. One thing I always do before I get them started with an application is have an in-depth intro call. And during this intro call, I'll pull out, of course, the three main the three legs of lending, as Matt likes to say. Credit, income, and assets. Those are the three main topics that we're going to be going over in this intro call. And I feel like a lot of the times those three topics will bring up other things. And that allows me to kind of uncover the whole loan application and allow me to best advise from a mortgage advisor standpoint, not just a loan officer that just says, here's your loan. I want to be a mortgage advisor. Take a look at all your goals, like exactly what you're looking for the purchase. Take a look at everything and then advise from there. And then, of course, my borrowers already being prepared with those things makes the process much easier.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one thing too, is like once you get referred to Stephen, or if you're buying somewhere else in the country and you've got another great agent you're working with, the more clear you are with a great agent, the better they can do their job in saying, okay, I understand exactly what you're looking for. I'm going to set up this search that's going to show you those properties as they come up. If somebody in my office has something that comes for sale, or I hear about something that's going to go for sale, I can give you a heads up on that. So call to action for investors out there. Do the work and try to get yourself, to narrow down what exactly you're trying to accomplish with real estate.
Yes. And another thing that great loan officers will do is actually from that initial phone call, they will prepare for closing even after that phone call. For example, my loan processing experience allowed me to do this, but say someone has a HELOC on their home. We're definitely going to need a HELOC statement, but for example, if another loan officer didn't have an in-depth conversation on the introduction call, they wouldn't have requested that HELOC statement from the beginning. Meanwhile, I did. I got the document from the beginning, and hence we're going to be closing sooner because of that.
Yep. Dotting our I's, crossing our T's. If you don't like our thoroughness up front, I apologize in advance, but we'd rather have you, grunt a little bit in the beginning than have us 3 or 4 weeks into the process. You paid for an appraisal, you paid for inspections. Stephen thinks you're closing on this great investment property next week, and
2 week clear to close.
Yeah. Yep. That's how.
Very impressive, my friend.
That's how Connor does it. Look at you. And speaking of great work, Mo Cars is on here saying Stephen's a great realtor. He sold my first house in Memphis. So
he's a good guy.
Thanks for joining, Mo. We appreciate you, man. When are you going to buy the next house in Memphis is the question, because Connor's ready to take the app. He's ready to get you pre-approved by midday tomorrow. Stephen, could you have you out looking this weekend?
Absolutely. He knows where to find me. I know where to find him.
All right. I think Pallavi Patel has something for sale in Indiana. Motel with 14 rooms, 1 apartment, and a house of 5 bedrooms, 2 full baths. I will tell you with absolute certainty that this is going to be a hard piece of property to finance. It sounds like an apartment, a motel, and a house all on one parcel, maybe. I know a great investor in Indiana, Millennial Mike. Go to Instagram, look up Millennial Mike, send him a DM, Pallavi. He might be your buyer. I am not your buyer. I don't know if anybody who's checking this out live is the buyer for something that interesting, but thanks for joining and sharing anyhow. All right, back to grilling Stephen about Tennessee. Personally, what parts of either Memphis or kind of Tennessee as a whole do you love, and what parts do you, I won't use the word hate. What parts do you love, and what parts do you not love as much?
Of Tennessee, the state?
Yeah, let's go the whole state.
Oh man, well, I gotta say I love my hometown, Memphis. I'm born and raised here, and we have a very rich culture here. Southern hospitality is a thing. You walk down the street in Memphis, and everybody you pass, you're gonna get at least a nod or a hi from. So I can't think of much to hate in Tennessee. There's just so much. You've got neighboring Nashville that's booming right now. I don't know what they put in the water over there, but I remember going to Nashville 10 years ago, and it had a smaller population than Memphis. There wasn't much going on, and now you go there now, and it's just there's cranes everywhere. And then I guess being a Memphis Tiger fan at heart, I'm not a huge fan of my Tennessee Vols, over there in Knoxville. So that's going to be my one jab right there at Tennessee.
All right.
So,
yeah, I'm a big basketball guy, and I feel bad for you guys. You guys finally got John Morant back, and then he got injured.
It's been tough sledding here.
Tough sledding for Memphis Grizzlies basketball.
The Memphis Grizzlies and the Memphis Tigers. Yeah. So, but you know what, Memphis, we're a bounce back city, grit and grind. We like a little adversity. So bring it on, and we'll rise above.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you joining me today. If you guys have any parting words for the YouTube audience, they know where to find us. GreatMortgageBroker.com. Is there any specific reach out if someone just wanted to reach out to you, Stephen, and ask about Tennessee real estate? Is there email or a phone we can give out?
Sure, absolutely. I have a website. It's HeightsRealtyGRP.com. My team is Heights Realty Group, and we're working with within the Remax balloons. So you can go to my website, or you can email me at steven@heightsrg.com. And I can give you my telephone number if that's okay.
Yeah, if
Sure.
you're with it.
Sure, 901-239-6326.
6326. Cool.
And big thank you to your team. Connor's been great to work with. We met when he saved one of my deals. There was 3 properties involved, and we were working with another lender who wasn't able to get the job done. And Connor came in, saved the day, was able to close all 3 properties. This was in 2023, last year, right?
March of 2023.
Yep. And since then, I think we've closed at least 3 or 4 million, I think. So, we've got our goals for this year that we're trying to meet. And I feel like I've finally found a great lender that I know will get the job done and take that stress of the transaction off my shoulders. So that's one less thing I have to worry about, and I can focus on my clients and make sure that we do our due diligence and get them in a house that fits their needs.
Right.
So,
Yeah. You got enough work to do on the real estate side with inspections and all the other things you're scheduling. So Connor and the rest of the U Mortgage team that's behind
absolutely him. 5 stars on my end. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Cool. Yeah, we appreciate you too. Any last words, Connor?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for having me on here. And then one other thing, I wanted to touch base on that one thing that someone said, you better have good boots on the ground in Memphis. And what we are is exactly that. Stephen is the boots on the ground in the area. And as Matt knows himself, a property manager could cost you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And Stephen has not only the boots on the ground, but a good property manager as well. So if anything, that is huge value in and of itself. But thanks again for having me, and I hope to be on another one.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Have a good one.